who is Matt Mundey, who is a commercial director at Think Learning, who are the event sponsors for this afternoon session. And he has years of experience supporting organisations, including many of our NHS trusts, to manage and enhance the development of people through using learning technologies. And his presentation this afternoon is going to spend some time talking to you about how you can use technology to support learning in the flow of work. So hopefully Matt is going to be on screen shortly.
Hi, Rachel.
Hello, Matt. That moment there. Yeah. Welcome, and I'll hand over to you for your presentation, and I'll see you at the end for questions too.
Thank you very much. It's fantastic to be here. Hello, everyone. And as Rachel and Laurie said, thank you so much for joining. It's a great privilege and really exciting for us to be here with you as sponsors. We love coming to the HPMA roadshows. We love what it represents, and we love working in the healthcare context. So I'm going to show you some really practical web-based learning management system examples, some courses, some functionality, some of the things that hopefully Laurie's expertise and words have sparked off and will resonate with. So entitled here for the next 15-20 minutes is Think Learning in the Flow of Work. Now, learning in the flow of work is a bit of jargon you might recognize. It's coined by Josh Bersin, and he posits that if you put learning into that flow of work, you are doing two things: increasing learner engagement with a bit of learning and increasing knowledge retention. So these are bold claims, and having heard Laurie puppy kicking the idea of learning styles, I'm very hesitant to sort of bring any learning philosophy or theory in here, other than to say it's fascinating, this idea. We know that in the context of healthcare, clinicians are time poor. They've got huge to-do lists. They've got precious moments to fit learning in. And so if that can be done in a way that feels as though it's informing their work, it's relevant to their work, that they can see it being applied in practice, then I think that's a great healthcare interpretation of this idea of learning in the flow of work. So 3 quick presentation points that I'll burn through. Why are we here? A little bit of context and story about Think Learning, the learning technology platform that we have now, and I'll show you how some of the trusts are using it brilliantly and creatively, and then a little bit about what's coming next in the learning tech platform that we have. So first of all, we love this kind of feedback, and that's what we're really engaged by and really driven by. Hearing healthcare L&D people saying that it's a digital learning platform, but it's growing. It's becoming a solution which drives learning initiatives. It's becoming a social engagement space. Fantastic to see something that starts off being about compliance and enforcement, really growing into an exploratory sort of learning journey space. So that's what we try and help trusts to achieve with these learning management systems. As you can see, we work with a lot. We work with 40 NHS organisations. It's such a privilege to have supported them through pandemic times, which have been horrific. There has been an uptake of online learning, and we've grown substantially in terms of client base and as a business. We love seeing the kind of business benefits that produce awards. So great that Hertfordshire Community Trust and the Best Healthcare Project Award for some of the benefits they realised with TOTRA. And as you can see here, some really great non-healthcare bits of industry as well, into education, higher education, central government and so on. But really it's healthcare that drives our roadmap. It's healthcare that drives our platform and what we do. We're value driven, so we strive to live out these 3 values in our work. Right, we're responsive. During pandemic, Royal Devon and Exeter decided to use the LMS to make appointment bookings for all of their 9,000 staff to have their vaccinations. There was some incredibly intense booking up of appointments over one particular weekend, we were able to make some quick changes so that that process became possible. It was putting huge pressure on the servers. So we try and be as responsive as that. We were able to change some of the compliance requirements when pandemic arrived, and they said, okay, you can stretch some of these time periods now in your certifications, your competencies. We're solution focused. So during 2020, we created a budget tracker that enables individual clinicians to have their own education budget associated with them. When they book a course, be it internal or external, university course, apprenticeships, etc., they will see that education budget being drawn down. We were able to do things around PPE and risk assessment in the context of COVID, and we built a 360 tool. And in terms of collaboration, we love working with trusts and groups of healthcare organisations. So with Oxford University Hospitals, we're creating a CPD hub where local universities can place all of their learning, and then practice educators, trust educationists can commission that learning. They can draw it down into the trust space so that individual clinicians can make their bookings and take them up on it. I do want to mention that we work closely alongside ESR, which is it's the source of truth in NHS HR. And so it's great to be able to work increasingly closely alongside ESR. And in the context of Microsoft, to get that single sign-on, so trust users have their familiar username and password. But it's great to be working with ESR in the context of an inbound interface, so that you can undertake mandatory training in the LMS, and that will update your competency profile in ESR. Finally, we ran a survey in which 100% of respondents said that staff are more engaged with learning as a result of using this TOTRA system. So that's an interesting thing for us to test. Why might they have said that? Well, let's get into showing you some examples after 2 more slides, if I may. This one, in which we sort of overstate really that content is king. And let's get into face-to-face and instructor-led as well in that context, because it's not just about streaming your e-learning for healthcare modules or other things, not just about creating your own content. We like Articulate Rise. That's a quick way to make beautiful learning. There's also a course activity called H5P, where you can get a video. Say you've taken a video of a you can take that video and you can pause it to ask questions. You can see where someone is in their tracking through watching it. You can turn it into a more interactive experience, but based on an absolutely trust-specific scenario. So that sort of thing's powerful. And then getting virtual seminar in, particularly with Teams. We're in a Zoom right now. You could have a Zoom from within the LMS that's launched, and when people click take me to my class, they'll appear in the Zoom. Finally, we've created a cool seminar QR code thing whereby trainer can take an attendance register to a classroom event, and then learners can come in, they can scan that QR code with their mobile phone, and it will mark them as fully attended in the relevant class in the LMS. Right, great. Let's get in and have a look at some examples. So I'm in a demo zone here of an LMS, similar to the sorts of things that these 40 NHS organisations use. There's something about in the flow of work, making those gnarly compliance stat and man things easy. So we've got a tile-based dashboard where I can click into a compliance dashboard. And here my ESR characteristics are telling me the certifications that I need to get compliant with. So with one further click, I'm into an infection control course space, and then a click to launch the e-learning module. So I just wanted to show you there, 3 clicks from home, and it can be less. And now the SCORE module's downloaded into my browser, and I'm off. And this can be playing in a tablet or a mobile if I'm there, or obviously here I am in a desktop or a laptop. So the idea of getting people efficiently through can help put learning technologically into the flow of work. Look at another example here. The Royal Marsden very kindly said we can have a look at their Learning Hub. So you can call your LMS what you like, and it's welcomed me. So it's personally welcomed me, Matt. Now I've got my compliance requirements front and center here, and if I was a clinician, this would be have some real data in it. But you can see here, compliance front and center, but I've also got some fascinating looking signposting out to the Royal Marsden Career Hub, out to a reports portal, into a new starter page, which I'll show you in a second. However, I did want to show you, just to finish on compliance training, that Royal Marsden have developed, and they've asked us to make this happen, a brilliant compliance dashboard where I can drill down in against various topics to see organizational compliance, to see divisional and service compliance against a target, and these are clickable links, so I'd be able to see individuals' names. Now, this sort of thing, I can look at mandatory training, I can look at appraisals, I can separate bank staff from substantive staff, and just get that helicopter view of what's happening trust-wide. It's really, really powerful. However, it's not, in the context of where we are, as relevant as this, I think, which is the Royal Marsden's onboarding page. So they've got a course format here, which is based on some welcoming information. This is what it's like to work here. And then these blocks containing relevant, useful information. So inside the course page, a pop-up where I can click to view these video thumbnails. I can get personally welcome to the trust. I can click on to download a workbook, a welcome book. I can have links around to local induction checklists, to full-on Statman training. And it's all here within this single course page. So the idea of blend is absolutely critical here. If I come in to show you an example of a course catalogue, you've got a nice tile-based catalogue here, and you can push featured courses to the top. You can define your own imagery, your own wording around course summaries. You can see a nice progress bar and so on. The different types of courses that are available to you in here. Well, for example, let's start with this one. In this course, I've got a video-based experience where I scroll down through the page and I can play these videos one by one. I'll be marked completed when I do, and I can come through to a certificate at the end. So this is, oh, thanks, someone's getting muted. While I'm here, actually, I'll just show you how this sort of page can show in a mobile phone experience as well. So I've changed my screen so it's showing as a Android mobile phone in landscape mode. Here you can see all of the features of that website LMS showing nicely. The videos will fill the mobile screen, and depending on context and the type of course and where you are engaging these learners, this can be very powerful. My main menu is now up in a waffle at the top of the screen there. So device responsive can be very, very useful for capturing that in the flow of work moment. Here you'll also see that I've got a course rating block. This is something we've developed whereby you can get very quick feedback from learner. Learner finishes the course, he or she says, actually, that was a 5-star experience. So save the rating, and then you'll be thanked for your feedback and be presented with some more interesting courses in that context. Now, this is a recommendations engine, which is included in the LMS that you can define. So Laurie pointed out some of the pitfalls with AI and recommendations engines. This is a fairly simple one, and you can define some of the course categories that courses are picked from, as well as their popularity and other things that you've completed. So in thinking about feedback, you've got an instant star rating there. We'll also have a deeper look at feedback next. But first I wanted to show you another example of a course catalogue, this time in Torbay in South Devon, where Jo has brilliantly filtered her course catalogue, which is substantial, And you can see down the left here, I'm able to filter by courses which are appropriate for particular staff groups. I can filter by course delivery method. So for example, show me the courses where there's a podcast. I'm going to be driving between sites this afternoon, so I know I've got a moment to listen to that pain management podcast. Right, so this sort of thing is neat because it's happening alongside your stat and man catalogue and your compliance. But here now, look, all of these courses being delivered by these different clinical education teams, and even the length of time, the hours of study involved, and the CPD points. So I think this is a great and creative example of catalogue building in the total state. Another example of course and blend, here in this data security course. So if I enter the course, I can see that in a grid format, I've got the different learning activities, the e-learning, the quiz or the e-assessment, the seminar event, and the virtual seminar event. So we mentioned Zoom and Teams, and in this example here, I've got a recording of a great example of, you know, when that course was run as a classroom. That's in there as a video resource. I've got my feedback process in here, where I can respond to questions. You can design your own templates and apply them across your prospectus there. And so that blended experience is important and very, very relevant. Now, the idea of feedback and application in practice can be further deepened in this example course, where the substantial learning content is in the form of a video clip here, but then I'm being invited to complete a reflective learning form. So this is a form builder that we've built into the LMS that enables a much deeper dive into how are you applying this in practice? How does it fit with DP? Lots of different question types here, but also the ability to upload supporting documentation, to have submission dates associated with it, and then to be able to enable assessors, trainers and tutors to have their say on the learner's experience. So perhaps in the context of, you know, demonstrating competency in the workplace, or in the context of building an e-portfolio, and taking these educational interactions into more of a personal repository of learning, with different actors having different roles and inputs. Final example, NHS professionals corporate team are brilliant, and they've built a really great site using the tools, the dashboards, the materials in our Totra-based LMS. I just wanted to show you, I've come in, as you saw there, I've got a great set of learning categories, including a big leadership and management catalogue. And now this will spark off some learning styles debate, I'm sure, because building and managing my dream team, they've got the grid view in here, behind which are various learning activities, but they've really spaced it out brilliantly using these different delivery methods. So I can, if I want, watch the relevant TED Talks, or I can scroll through to the read section, and I've got blogs, I've got journal articles. All of this is being tracked. I can go into the listen section, and I've got my podcasts, and I've got my formal learning in the form of some SCORM and things, but that in a way is dwarfed by the other interesting delivery methods, including in the do section. I've got action plans, I've got building activities, and I've got sort of tasks and workbooks. So it really is smart the way they've done this, I think, and featured links off to other related sites and so on as well. So there's hopefully some nice examples of where the LMS platform is at. It's hoping to look beyond compliance whilst also giving you the reassurance that you need in the context of compliance. Right, I'm just going to try and move swiftly on because time is us. So in terms of what's coming next, in the LMS? Well, we've got interesting lessons coming from industry and coming from all around us. You might have spotted in your browsers now some cool features. I'll just very quickly dip into a Chrome reading list and a Firefox Pocket curation tool. And we know that in Netflix, we've got those handy lists of, because you watched X, here's a set of things called, you know, Y and Z. I'll also just briefly show you the upcoming Tota Engage module. Tota Engage bringing workspaces, bringing curated content, playlists as they phrase them here, and Microsoft Teams integration. Now, I think the Microsoft Teams integration is particularly interesting in the context of learning in the flow of work. But I don't know if you guys have spotted this in your Chrome browser. Say you're reading a blog or a journal article, as well as now being offered the opportunity to save it as a favorite, you can also now add it to a reading list. So Chrome's my sort of work admin browser. In my reading list now, I'm starting to collect interesting blog articles, interesting websites. So I can build up some sort of educational record here. That's just happening in the browser. Similarly, here in Firefox, have you noticed you've got this new Pocket curation tool, which they're promoting, which is quite interesting in terms of some of the politicized educational news stroke sensational elements. Of course, you can personalize this. So you can take in sponsored activities, you can take out sponsored activities, worth a play. But here in the context of the Tota now, you'll see when I come into this version, the very latest upcoming version, that within my course catalog, I've now got playlists and resources, as well as the formal courses. So to show you quickly around here, alongside a Safeguarding Children course, I've got a piece of content. It's bite-sized, it's very consumable. It's going to take less than 5 minutes to watch this. It's a simple video link, but look at the things that are around. I've got the ability to see and add comments, and I could share this with other people in the organization. Say, hey, Laura, I think you'd really like this. I've got the ability to click around in the tags that have been set to like it. Now, when I start liking these resources and this content, that's recognized by some fairly germinal AI, some artificial intelligence and machine learning that will then start recognizing my style. Okay, not my style, the content that I'm consuming, my learning habits, and it will start to deliver that and curate that sort of thing for me. From within here, I can do some neat things. So my colleague Elise has set this up with a hashtag leadership, and that will then auto filter the catalog to only show leadership items. So that sort of thing's neat. And you can see how in the flow of work, this sort of social, more informal knowledge networking, I'm now in a collaborative workspace entitled Management and Leadership. So this is a safe community of practice space with its 19 members here. So I've got a safe forum to discuss, to share, to comment, and to like, you know, with all of the risks and the caveats around moderation. Opening up this conversation opens up risk, but it also can make people feel more engaged. There's that word again. And if they're contributing, if they're getting some sense of ownership in the context of learning, they themselves start to love it more. It raises the profile in the organization, and so on. So you can see here alongside in this playlist, these bite-sized bits of learning, I've also got the ability to ask quick pulse survey questions. So this does rather open up and widen the scope of the learning management system in the healthcare space. And if I can finish then just with 2 more slides. That the Microsoft Teams integration is powerful and it's coming soon. So that everything you've seen, or nearly everything you've seen in the LMS can be presented through the organizational Microsoft Teams app for your learners. So where that is in play, then it really is looking to get into the flow of work with your course catalogue, with specific teams, be it a project or an organisation, with its associated required courses and useful resources. You can see the potential power of that. And we're excited to be taking learning out into the world of talent and succession planning as well. So that was actually my alarm bell to tell me to stop talking, which I'm now going to do. Thank you very much, Rachel.
Thank you, Matt. I was laughing because I wondered whether that was what that might be.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah, so I think Jamie's picked up a couple of the questions in the chat because I'm mindful of time to move on. So yeah, what he's done is he's put his contact details in so that he can answer. There was one question about the budget tracker for CPD and the time taken for those things to build a platform. And then there's one around tracking, so probably a very quick one about tracking virtual classes through LMS.
Oh, sure, yes. So the ability to use standard API integrations, as they call them, so you can already get some web service connection between the LMS and Zoom, between the LMS and Microsoft Teams. That enables you to present and open those virtual classrooms from within an LMS course. And then depending on the degree of integration, you can get then the attendance lists back and automatically mark people as attended, or have that as a separate process. So depending on the virtual classroom tool, there's an API for that, and it's being deepened all the time. As you can imagine, it's such a relevant topic.
And then finally, Tracy said that she would be very interested to hear more about talent. So I wonder if there's maybe anything that you could share with the audience for us after the event.
Yeah, will do. Thank you for your interest. It was a tiny bit cheeky of me to introduce talent in as sort of a hook beyond learning, but it is, it's such an important way of getting that employee sense of value, to really come alive. What is the potential out there? How can we use learning to draw this amazing potential out of people? And so the talent and succession thing becomes so relevant.
Yeah, and really, really current right now, I think, particularly for us in the NHS. Yeah, thank you so much for that presentation. It was really interesting to me and to others. So, and I think there's some connecting happening in the chat box now, so that Jamie will pick up that inquiry. But if you can share anything for the rest of us on talent, that would be really helpful.
Will do. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much.